Fun. I muted myself. Well, hello. Thank you for joining. That was a rehearsal. Anywho, so today, what I was just saying, we're going to be real fast and swift. We're going to discuss everything that happened today. So everybody gets a chance to watch President Biden on NBC tonight at 9 p.m. If you're not watching for any reason, I will be covering it both in the newsletter tonight that will come right after and on the live stream tomorrow. So if you don't have a chance, you're not watching for some reason, you're going to get the ins and outs. So first, let's start with, okay, let's check the comments real quick. Yay, thought it was me. No, it was me. I'm the drama or whatever. That's the problem. It's me. Yeah, like Taylor Swift. So first, let's start with yesterday. President Biden addressed the nation. Let's have a little bit of a preview, just 46 seconds, about how it went down. Then I tell you a little fun detail about it.
We must not go down this road in America. We've traveled before throughout our history. Violence has never been the answer. Whether it's with members of Congress of both parties being targeted and shot, or a violent mob attacking the Capitol on January 6th, or a brutal attack on the spouse of former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, or information and intimidation on election officials, or the kidnapping plot against the sitting governor, or an attempted assassination on Donald Trump. There is no place in America for this kind of violence, for any violence ever. Period. No exceptions. We can't allow this violence to be normalized.
And what I like about it, that he compared the assassination attempt with the attack on Pelosi's husband on January 6th together. So all of it is not okay. And I'm really glad that he put it all into one file, so to speak, which is, of course, what pissed everybody off. And once I shared this video, once I shared the transcript, we got all these fun emails that I shared. Just a couple of them I shared on X. So, you know, it just means that we're united, we're on the right track. And if somebody feels provoked by just simple facts, what can we do? We can't help everybody, unless you're certified to help in such situations. So another fun fact, so they had to move furniture in the Oval Office for President to speak. There are usually 3 to 5 cameras. Associated Press is usually the priority. Also, when you pay attention in the press briefing at the White House, Associated Press is always asked first to speak. It's historically just correct and just has been built this way with White House Correspondents Association. And so he looked right into that camera. Now, some other cameras, I guess, premiered their live stream, and the pieces were cut out that President Biden was really not looking in the camera. And so there were those screenshots like, oh my God, where is he looking at? Did he forget where to look at? But he's always looking into the AP. This is the priority. And if you think about like White House press briefing, all of the cameras are in one spot. And the speaker stands really far in the back. So just stare in one direction so you don't have to really choose. But here it was so close. Also, another thing, there were photographers standing right out of the window, outside the window. It's in the Oval Office. Rose Garden is right outside the glass doors and windows. And so a couple of photographers were taking pictures of him. And so once he finished, he turned around and said, who the heck is this guy in the window? Because I apparently wasn't told that photographers would be taking pictures of him at the same time as he's focusing to speak. Not the ideal situation if you've ever focused to speak to camera, but I guess they killed the bird with both stones. Don't like that saying, but you got the point. Now, State Department today, for a weird reason, actually, it wasn't expected, but they did address the assassination attempt. The speaker first said that it's not really typical for the State Department to talk about internal and national issues, but because it is important for American diplomats to represent democracy, represent security, stability, since everybody reached out and started asking what the heck is happening, they issued a statement, and the speaker also talked about what Secretary Blinken thinks and conveyed his message. So let's take a look. It's 2 minutes.
One of our responsibilities as America's diplomats is to promote our core values around the world: democracy, human rights, human dignity, and the ability to resolve our differences without resorting to violence. We know today that people around the world, governments around the world, have questions about what happened on Saturday, just as Americans do. And our message to them is simple. As President Biden has made clear, there is no place for violence in our democracy, period. We condemn this attack and all political violence strongly and unequivocally, just as we condemn political violence in any country, and just as we have condemned previous acts of political violence in the United States, whether it be the attack on members of Congress practicing for a baseball game, the brutal assault on Paul Pelosi, or, of course, the horrific events of January 6, 2021. One of the things that Secretary Blinken has often spoken to is the effect of dehumanization and the cost to society when people lose sight of the core humanity they share with others, even those with whom they strongly disagree. Dehumanization is at the root of so many of the difficult challenges we face in the world, and confronting it is the key to finding solutions to the issues that divide us. So at this time, when people around the world have questions about our democracy, a big part of what we must do is show them how we respond as a nation. This morning, Secretary Blinken convened the senior leadership team here at the department to remind them that one of America's great strengths throughout our history has been our ability to reclaim our humanity, our fundamental decency after acts of tremendous violence and inhumanity. And he asked them to deliver that message around the world, to remind our allies and partners that America has faced trying times before, but that we have emerged from them stronger because of our core values that we share as a nation: a commitment to democracy, a respect for the rule of law, and a common aspiration not to let the things that divide us overwhelm those that bind us together.
And so it's, again, we see the same structure here. They're putting everything into one bucket, right? January 6th, attack on Pelosi, as much as assassination attempt. Everything is on the same level. It should not be happening. This is political violence. And so, of course, what it does, if you were to, or we were to read between the lines, what it does, it sort of degrades what MAGA or Republican side tries to do. This is the biggest thing. It hasn't happened in the last 40 years. This is the biggest thing we should be talking about. They are Democrats, right? The current administration puts everything into one bucket and says this is political violence. Neither this nor that is okay. And of course, it diminishes the message. Diminishes the message with those pictures and ads and t-shirts and, portraying it as something extracurricular that has never happened, which is in fact has never happened, but other stuff has happened. Attacks on the Capitol, all of that had happened. So if we speak about the political violence, we should be speaking about that too. So I hope you do agree. So next thing, press conference at the White House happened, and it was started by Mayorkas and Secretary, who shared his view as to why. First of all, he expressed his condolences to the victims' family. Also said that he's praying and his family is praying for those who are recovering. Said he's very glad that Trump is recovering well and he's doing well. And so then he said, he talked about the importance of independent research and analysis, and to wait for the results and to really escape the conspiracy theories. So let's listen to this video.
Are indeed in the process of selecting who will lead the independent review. The findings indeed will be made public. It is very important that we achieve transparency so that the American people have confidence in the work of the review and in its findings and recommendations. And we need to move with swiftness and urgency because this is a security imperative.
Thanks, Mr. Secretary. On that, does the president have confidence in the Secret Service director after Saturday's failures?
I have 100% confidence in the director of the United States Secret Service. I have 100% confidence in the United States Secret Service. And what you saw on stage on Saturday with respect to individuals putting their own lives at risk for the protection of another is exactly what the American public should see every single day.
All right. So he also shared the fact that now RFK Jr. is being protected by the Secret Service. And if you were subscribed to receive any emails, or perhaps you saw some messages from RFK Jr., I'm subscribed because I have to get sort of like the view and inform you. He has been pushing for protection, and he said, "Oh my God, this is U.S. Secret Service not protecting me. I'm calling Biden all the time. I'm a legitimate candidate. Why I don't get the protection?" So now he is protected, and also the protection of Trump, former President Trump, is also doubled down. So also Mayorkas has shared, or Secretary Mayorkas has shared, that VP and POTUS's protection, and as much as First Lady's protection, has been checked and has been added to in light of everything that did happen on Saturday. So they went through the entire checklist and they doubled down, understanding that this is needed right now. So it is important to state. Also, we will be talking about Vance and Trump picking him as his VP. But this question was asked also in the press briefing today, whether Vance would be receiving any protection and when would that happen. So take a look.
Tell us about the security for the running mate.
So the United States Secret Service, when a selection is made, will provide the appropriate level of security.
Which is really now. The selection has been made. The selection has been reported on many times. And so now he's under USSS protection. So also, because we go, see, from the White House Oval Office to White House briefing room to State Department, and now, of course, Pentagon as well. Pentagon condemned violence and also shared this in the press briefing, and I'm going to read it to you. So regarding security measures for the upcoming Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, which already started, they stated that approximately 1,700 National Guardsmen, alongside a small contingent of active duty personnel, are slated to assist civil authorities from July 13th to 19th. So they have been dispatched. They are also protecting the RNC convention, and they have also mentioned that it's not anything extracurricular, that there's many National Guard personnel and troops pretty much have been protecting the NATO summit in Washington, D.C., and will be also protecting the DNCC, so Democratic Convention, which will be in August in Chicago. So it's not anything crazy. Nothing extra is happening. They're not seeing any other threats. They're just taking security measures to prevent anything from happening, or any copycat, getting an idea that something, could be potentially happening. So it's safer. Yes. Now let's talk a bit about this readout. I shared it. I wrote an article about it. I'm going to have that in the newsletter tonight as well. Global politics a bit. Indo-Pacific region is still being discussed and worked on from Pentagon's perspective, from State Department's perspective, post-NATO summit. So Air Force General C.Q. Brown, which is chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, he embarked on a pivotal trip across the Indo-Pacific region, aimed to bolstering longstanding alliances and fortifying regional security ties. So central to his engagements in the United States strategic commitment is the United States strategic commitment to expanding and deepening alliances throughout the Indo-Pacific. These efforts are pivotal as the region navigates heightened geopolitical competition, particularly from China, and threats posed by North Korea. So there have been reports that the Secretary of Defense or Minister of Defense in China has shared a message or conveyed a message that U.S. is expanding in the Indo-Pacific, that we are provoking them in some type of way. So if we again try to read between the lines, I guess it's also they will be communicating with each other, as much as also President has stated at his press briefing post NATO summit that there's a direct line with China, there's direct communication even between the troops. So it is important to state, so there's no reason for panicking. This is happening, and this is good that it's happening. So also, what did Trump do? Because we hear from the White House, we hear from the Oval Office, we hear from State Department, Pentagon. Trump decided to tweet. And so he tweeted, as we move forward in uniting our nation after the horrific events on Saturday, this dismissal of lawless indictment in Florida should be just the first step. And I will tell you about that in a second. Followed quickly by the dismissal of all the witch hunts. So pretty much he said, look, since his case in Florida has been dismissed today, and what I mean by that is that the judge dismissed classified documents case against Donald Trump in a stunning ruling. Judge Cannon said the entire case should be thrown out because the appointment of the special counsel who brought the case had violated the Constitution. Jack Smith already shared that it will be appealed. So it's not final, but again, it will be delayed. And it's related to all those documents that were stockpiled in Mar-a-Lago. So pretty much, by the way, the judge has been appointed by Trump. It is heavily discussed that this judge would be considered to join the Supreme Court if Trump were to be elected. So I guess it's a tit for tat situation. But, in this tweet, pretty much what he asked, look, they did it in Florida, now let's dismiss everything. And this is how we're going to make America great again, because we will be united. Right? Because election interference conspiracy against Joe Biden's political opponent, me, everything is me. So dismiss all my trials, everything, and unite behind me. And this is what's going to make United States of Donald Trump happen. Interesting. I also shared a tweet this morning asking reporters who perhaps get any replies from the Trump team to ask for medical reports. He had been treated allegedly at a hospital. Can we hear what did happen? Can we hear? Was it a glass? Was it what was that? A bullet? Right? So just him stating a lot of blood took place, which is like an interesting wording, and that his ear was pierced by a bullet. AR-15, but okay, I let the experts speak on that. But can we see a medical report? If it is demanded from Biden to show his cognitive abilities, his medical reports, his well-being, or allegedly Parkinson's or whatnot, it's been demanded every day, all day in the briefings, many, many times by many, many people. So why can't we see a medical report here? Was he at the hospital? Did he have to go to the hospital? Why was he, thank God, but why and how was he able to golf all day yesterday post this traumatic experience? But the reason might be that none of us, neither me nor anybody else, gets a reply is because Trump campaign staff shared a memo saying that anyone who speaks with the press, even on background or off the record, will be found and terminated immediately, refrain from commenting, speculating, posting on social media, etc., complete and total lockdown. Which again, I understand if there's an investigation, we shouldn't be, picking those facts. I also dislike when media runs to victims' families, friends, schoolmates, roommates, asks questions, and those are, just staring in the camera and just blabbering. And then when police ask them, then the versions would be different because then they're focused on what they're saying and they're less emotional. I don't like that, and so I understand it. But just a simple report. Can we read it? Can we hear what happened and how does the other candidate feel? because I think it is important, especially if you're MAGA, especially if Trump is your leader and you're voting for him. Aren't you curious how well he is doing? So pictures like this exist in videos. He was golfing yesterday and of course got praise from his fan base, gets shot, gets up the next day, goes golfing. Wee! This is, I guess, it's a cool thing. But again, if you're worried or curious or both, I think we deserve to hear, how well he's doing and what has been done to him. Now, on another note, CNN anchors whom we learned to cherish 2 weeks ago at the debate, Dana Bash and Tapper, they wondered, why are we still talking about the debate? And shall we still talk about the debate? Watch this.
Sitting at that table in Atlanta, Georgia for that debate, the presidential debate that prompted this the serious discussion by Democrats about President Biden, that was only 17 days ago. 2 weeks, 2 weeks and 3 days ago. Pretty incredible. But that discussion, I suspect, is still happening, even if not as loudly and as publicly.
It is. I was just talking to a Democratic official before coming here. The discussions are still happening.
Well, the discussions are still happening. Why? Because you keep discussing it. You keep talking about it. You keep dragging this dead horse for 2 weeks. You keep asking for proof and for this and for that. And Biden talked and he did. I guess he has to dance tonight on NBC with Holt. He just has to just embrace and dance or waltz or tango or something. What hasn't he done to stop this discussion? And what has Trump done for us to even not attempt questioning him and having that discussion about him and with him? And I understand, and I'm very sorry, and I condemn political violence, and I understand what happened is traumatic on Saturday, but it's not being treated as such traumatic experience in reality. It's being treated and brainwashed on social media and on media altogether. That it's the biggest thing, and here's the photo, and here's a cup, and here's a t-shirt, and it's been discussed in that reality-ish atmosphere, but it's not really treated as traumatic and as realistic in real life, because we don't see them providing statements, talking about it, addressing victims, expressing gratitude to the Secret Service, to anybody who jeopardized and was ready to give up their life for his life. We haven't seen any of that. And I doubt unless there was this ruling being dismissed in Florida today, that we wouldn't have gotten any tweet or anything like that. So, but that's just my 2 cents. What's the next thing that I want to discuss? Yes, so RNC started today. I'm watching it. Thank you so much for voting that I should be watching it. Thanks. I got Tums and all that kind of stuff to digest it all. But jokes aside, it started with they called it March on RNC, and they said it's a liberal march, and it's Biden sponsored, and it's anti-Trump. But I want you, yes, anti-Trump. But I want you to watch the video carefully and to see, is that the impression you're getting? I mean, they're screaming something anti-Trump, but I also see Palestine flags, and it's a mix and match sort of situation. At least I don't see it being really pro-Biden and anti-Trump, because this video has been circulating and really used on the right to say that, look, there was an assassination attempt, and here Biden and Soros and whoever is sponsoring this march on RNC against Trump, and it's so early. I was on the call today with the campaign managers and directors of Biden-Harris campaign, and so they spoke on Trump picking his VP, who is Vance, and all the negative consequences that come with that in case they were both to be elected. They also shared that the campaign is in full swing, so they're not being shy about stating the facts about Project 2025, so they're not holding back. I guess this was the plan for yesterday, but again, political situation, especially nowadays, just keeps adjusting every hour pretty much. So you're just reacting to somebody's action. So again, since it's not being treated as something crazy that postpones everything by the right, then I think it's only equally as okay for the administration to continue with that and to continue talking about the facts. So how did supporters and Trump supporters pretty much react to the assassination attempt? And what did they do? So aside from the merch, aside from this picture and all that kind of stuff on the T-shirts and all kind of places, they also started making tattoos and getting tattoos. So this is the picture. You recognize it. It's also here, and it's also here. And I'm going to spare you the rest. But there's so many tattoos and videos and let's go. And, like even tattoos of Trump having a six-pack and saying your iron, like six-pack can withstand any bullet and stuff like that. So it's really pathetic, for the lack of a better word. And it's quite interesting. But also in Milwaukee, this kind of stuff is greeting all the visitors. It says that, for instance, this project funded by President Joe Biden's bipartisan infrastructure law, investing in America. So this has been seen all over Milwaukee. So, Democrats are present. And so about the VP pick, Vance, again, this is Fox News, by the way, and that's what they shared, that past comments on Trump were might be America's Hitler, might be a cynical asshole, cultural heroine, obnoxious, and reprehensible. So that's what he says about it. Now, Biden-Harris campaign, again, today on the call, shared, and by the way, Senator Warren was there. They shared very straightforward evaluation, so to speak, of this particular vice president to be or nominee. And so there's a couple of things that they said. So like Trump, J.D. Vance supports a nationwide ban on abortion, and he criticizes exceptions for rape and incest. Like Donald Trump, J.D. Vance supports an abortion nationwide, opposes exceptions for rape and incest survivors, saying two wrongs don't make it right, and calling those circumstances inconvenient. He also advocates that women should be staying in violent marriages. And take a look.
Wrongs don't make a right. At the end of the day, we're talking about an unborn baby. What kind of society do we want to have? A society that looks at unborn babies as inconveniences to be discarded?
Should a woman be forced to carry a child to term after she has been the victim of incest or rape?
Look, my view on this has been very clear, and I think the question betrays a certain presumption that's wrong. It's not whether a woman should be forced to bring a child to term, it's whether a child should be allowed to live, even though the circumstances of that child's birth are somehow inconvenient or a problem to the society. The question really to me is about the baby. We want women to have opportunities, we want women to have choices, but above all, we want women and young boys in the womb to have the right to life.
Young boys in the womb. So it's about boys. But if it's a girl, then is abortion okay? Who hurt you? Your mom didn't love you? What happened? Honey, what happened? It sounds like you need a bit of care and a hug. But can you imagine this person becoming a president if, God forbid, something would have happened to Trump if he were to be elected? And this would be a president of the United States of America, the biggest economy, the strongest military, the place of opportunities. Land of the free? God, Jesus. Okay, so campaign continued. J.D. Vance supports Trump's agenda to cut Social Security and rip away Americans' health care. He rallied against the Affordable Care Act, which includes protections for millions of Americans with pre-existing conditions. He called for Social Security and Medicare the biggest roadblocks to any kind of real fiscal sanity. He also said he admitted that he would not have certified the 2020 election results and echoes Donald Trump's baseless lies, refusing to accept the results of 2020 election, which is, by the way, they have to take this pledge. I don't know, that they have to state that they don't believe in the election being right or rightful to even work for this administration. So that's mentioned in Project 2025. So Vance has repeatedly attempted to whitewash the political violence. On January 6th, he has a reputation as one of the most far-right extremists in Washington, endorsing January 6th. He also, by the way, calls Putin a friend and is very much willing to give up Ukraine to Russia. That's it. An interesting pick. And so, you know, what Senator Warren said today, she said, it's the best pick for billionaires because they're also planning to give about 3.5 million tax cuts annually to every billionaire. And it's the worst news for every other American. I think it's the good news for an undecided person, right, or voter, because if you hear all that, how can you decide to go for it? So if you're an undecided person, but now you have a running mate with potential to become president, just in case, again, God forbid, are you okay voting for it? Right? So for that reason, I think facts do matter, and we have to talk about those facts and we have to share them. And as much as backlash we get and hate and all of this, I see it on X today. And by the way, thank you so much for replying and standing the ground. I appreciate you, every single comment and like and share. I love it. I just don't have the time to reply to them, nor I really want to. So I appreciate you doing that for me. And but it is important to keep talking about it. We can't simply shut up, and it's really, really serious. So on Saturday and Friday, also last thing, we talked about the Secretary of Retribution that Project 2025 would install, and I shared this list of 340 names that they would be going after. And so this is the guy, Ivan Raikin, yes, Raiklin, who would be that potentially Secretary of Retribution. Take a look.
Directly to every single person on the deep state target list. My assessment, Ivan Raiklin's assessment, that if you assassinate any political presidential candidate, whether it's RFK, whether it's Trump, guess what? America will do the following immediately. They will respond in kind, and they know who you are because we've created the list. So if you go
and that's
to
a major
measures,
Rubicon. They should know that.
Immediately. You're going to see immediate response, and there are only a few buildings in Washington, D.C. that they will probably do that.
Well, I hope that's not the case, but these people are crazy.
And having said that, if they do that, option 2.
Pay attention now. He talks about potential assassination attempts. God forbid again. This happened a while ago, but listen up.
Behind Trump is going to be so much better for us and so much worse.
Well, I was about
for
to
them.
say, if they kill him, that's best case scenario. From a sick level beating him, oh, please kill him, which but it's so good after that.
Oh, it's going to be the best cleansing and the fastest cleansing that we've ever seen.
How scary is that? And then I remember Harry Sisson, he shared a quote, the Supreme Court Justice's dissent opinion that, potentially Biden could ask, Navy SEALs to go after Trump, and that would be, he would be immune to do so. And they went all the way, all behind him and after him, that how dare you, you're inciting violence. What is this? What is this? If anything, weren't you inciting violence against your own candidate? And if we think about that 20-year-old boy, registered Republican, and what incited him, again, we don't know the motive. And I'm not an investigator, and please, take my opinion just for the 2 cents that it is. But what do we know that he watched? If you watch this video alone, you go cuckoo. Okay, on a funny note, RNC again started, and Eric Trump finally got a word to speak. Trump family might regret it, so listen to it.
Secretary and everybody in this great city. On behalf of our entire family and on behalf of the 125 delegates in the unbelievable state of Florida, we hereby nominate every single one of them for the greatest president that's ever lived, and that's Donald J. Trump. Hereby declaring him the Republican nominee for President of the United States of America.
Eric, did you lose the teleprompter? You nominated every single person for president? So Trump is having 125 competitors from Florida now? What you talking about? You got the win, like at the end, you kind of made the turn saying you nominate Trump for president. But what the hell was that? You don't understand how it works, or what? What did happen? Another funny clip, and again, I told you I'll cover RNC, just everything you need to know, what you didn't miss. Today is really all about appointing Vance as VP and nominating Trump officially as the nominee. And then the itty-gritty starts tomorrow, and I'll cover it for you. Short clips, all that what you just need to know. Nothing else, okay? So, because I understand the depth of it. Another funny clip. Watch it. Boo.
Madam Chairman. Madam Chairman, the Commonwealth of Kentucky proudly cast 46 votes for the next president, Donald J. Trump.
Well, he got booed first, and then he kind of made it. Why he got booed? I watched saw some comments, and it was because he approved the aid for Ukraine. It was like, you're giving billions to Ukraine, and so get lost. That was the motivation of booing Mitch. And now that's it. So you have 6 minutes to make it to President Biden's interview. One thing I wanted to say and share is that I got several messages saying, how can you support and all that kind of stuff. I feel bad asking for any support without giving anything. So what I thought is, and you'll see it in the email, and it's only if you're up for it. This is an experiment. I haven't shared it before. If you want to have, like, let's say, a club-ish atmosphere without bots and have a safe space to have discussions monthly on Zoom, where we can have discussions and you can ask me questions. You can also ask me, or ask me to ask questions at the White House, where I can provide some, sort of back end footage, or, share some more information about what I do, or answer your questions. I will offer that type of subscription. It's $5 a month. And you will get daily news. So not 3 times a week, as I promised, but every night. And then we'll have this sort of a club thing where you have people, like-minded people. You can answer, get your questions answered, suggest topics for me to cover, suggest maybe people who you want me to interview, and so on and so forth. This is an experiment. You don't have to, absolutely. But if you want to, you would have the option today in that email. It's included there. But it's only, again, in case. If we get enough people, we'll continue with that. If not, this is just an experiment. But the emails are free Monday, Wednesday, Friday, as promised. There are no changes to that. I just thought if you were interested in something more, that would be an option. Again, you don't have to, but you'll have an opportunity to do so. Okay, Thank you so much. Go watch NBC if you don't. I'm going to cover it as well with clips tomorrow in writing in the email tonight. And thank you so much for subscribing and watching. And I see you tomorrow around 8 p.m.